Hey YouTube, Kiratwig here, bringing you a video special. Today I will be showing you the ABCs of worms in Yu-Gi-Oh! The worms are an archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! And they consist of 26 monsters total. And what's cool about the worms is each one represents a letter in the English alphabet. And I thought it would be pretty cool to get a whole collection of worms, which you can see here. I have each worm from the alphabet ready to show you guys. So I thought I'd just go through each one and show you what they look like. As you know, the worms are from the Dual Terminal storyline. They were an army that came to invade the Yu-Gi-Oh world from space. And with it, they brought a different member of each one of the armies. We have Worm Apocalypse. He was the first one they brought in, and has his name probably says Apocalypse, meant probably the end of their world. Worm Barsis kind of looks like he's the muscle of the 1st Battalion. And Worm Cardos kind of looks like the Black Ops or the Secret Service for their army. Next we have Worm Dimocles, kind of looks like the Weapon Master. You can see he's got spears coming out of him. Heavy Assault. And lastly we have Worm Erokin. Kind of looks like the Buddha in a way. He's just kind of fat. These are the first 5 that were released in the Hidden Arsenal 1. The next 3 were released in the Gold Series 3. We have Worm Falco. Kind of looks like the Air Assault. He's probably the only one with wings also. We have Worm Gulfs. Kind of a big guy. Kind of looks like he's made out of mucus also. And next we have Worm Hope. Wouldn't want to be alone in a room with this guy. Something about his face kind of just looks creepy to me. Probably steal my soul or something. The next 3 cards were released in the Storm of Ragnarok. We have Worm Illidan. Kind of looks like he's made of ice. He's just got icicles all coming out of his body. You know, worms could survive the cold. Next we have Worm Jetel Lips. I think that's how you say his name. Kind of looks like the Blob in a way. Just a bunch of blobbiness coming out of him. And the next one we have is Worm King. His name probably explains itself. He's the king of the worm army. Kind of looks like a tyrant. Look at him, just all kingy and all that. Next we have Worm Lynx, and Lynx also starts the next lineup of worms that were released in Hidden Arsenal 2. Probably got the name Lynx because he's 2-headed, linked together. We have Worm Milidith. Tentacles kind of form an M, probably where they got the name for her. And Worm Noble, probably guessing he's like a friend of the king or something, or lower down, next in line. And the funny one is Worm Opera. To me, he or she kind of looks like an opera house in a way, where all the worms gather to sing and tell tales of their victories. It looks like kind of goofy, in my opinion. Next we have Worm Prince. Probably just the son of Worm King, because I didn't know these things could reproduce. And Worm Queen. And as you can see here, speaking of the Queen, we have Worm Queen. She seems more like the tyrant than the king. The king just seems like he's boasting his power. She's actually showing it, because you see in her hands she's squeezing the life out of Worm Dimocles. Probably did something wrong and he's paying for it with her fist. Next we have Worm Rakuya. Don't really know what to say about this one. Kind of looks like a monster in a sort. Well, they all look like monsters, but he kind of is the big one there. And the next ones were the final set of worms released, and these ones were released in the Hidden Arsenal 3. These were probably some of the coolest in my opinion, look-wise. We have Worm Solid. You can see he's just a triangle. Sums up his name. He's a solid. Worm Tentacle. Probably an octopus creature. And we have Worm Ugly. This is probably one of my favorite worms. He's so ugly, he's cute. I mean, look at him. He's like a little baby. And next we have Worm Victory. He's probably the heavy artillery of the army. He's even spelling out a V with all of his arms for victory. Victory. Next we have Worm Warlord. Maybe a head advisor to the army. And we have Worm Zex, whose best buddy is Worm Yagen. You can see him in the background there. And the same goes for Worm Yagen, because you can see Worm Zex in the background. And last but not least, in a final attempt to win the war, the worms gathered together and created Worm Zero. As you can see, is a giant zero with a skull in the middle. And you can also see he's like sucking the life force or destroying Hero City down below where the elemental heroes resided. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the collection. Like I said before, I think the worms are a really cool archetype. I'm glad I was able to get a complete set of them. And let me know down below what you guys think your favorite worm is. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and Kiratwig out.